Hello and welcome to Andy's Cornish Creations. In this video I'm going to be carving this little bear. I'm using a piece of basswood. It's about 5 inches long and it's 1 inch by 1 inch. I'm starting off by doing a centre line around the whole thing on all sides. This bear has been inspired by Doug Linker, who does some very similar bear, just a little bit taller, and I've just added my little variation to it by making it smaller and I think a little bit simpler to carve. Yeah, I'm just using a bear that I've already done as a template, and here you can see roughly the measurements. But you don't have to stick to them. You can make it however you like. I'm using another piece of basswood here just to square up those lines, and I go all the way around, apart from the back, with those lines. So mark the front, so I remember which it is. I'm a little bit off center, so I just put a little line there. Right, I'm just taking the sharp corners off just to make it a bit more comfortable to hold. And the idea of the piece of wood being longer is that the smaller the carving, the more difficult it is to hold in your hands, especially when you're wearing gloves. And the extra length there just gives you something to hold on to while you're carving. So I'll go around everything and take off the sharp edges. Right, you can see there where the ears are. The ears are in the middle, right in the centre of the piece of wood, and I'm taking down a stop cut and a push cut into it to create the ears and the sides of the head. And there I go back 1/4 inch and then come back into that. And that should leave the ears sticking up, and it also creates the back of the head. Repeat the same on the other side, and then I just put a mark there, a bit less than 1/4 from the centre, and come in there, and that's the edge of the ears on the top of the head. And then later on I'll be putting a little round for the crown of the head. From the ears to the front, I come less than halfway forward, and that will be where the face and the eyes are going to be going. So to make it easier for myself, I made one of these little blocks that just pushes up against the bench, and I've got a little dovetail saw, and I can saw down to where that cutout is, and it just saves an awful lot of time with the knife. And I can run the knife down and split it, and the saw cut keeps it nice and makes it nice and easy, because it's a lot of wood to remove, and trying to keep it all square is a bit of a chore, so it just makes it a bit easier. You can do it totally with the chisel if you want to, but anything that can make the job easier is good with me. This is where the neck is, so that's the second line down from the top, and that's where the head and body are, and I'm going around the whole thing, just putting a little V cut to create the neck, and that'll go around the whole body, and there we are, it's done. Back to the ear, and come down. You can make the ears whatever size you like, but I chose there, and I just cut into the ear a little bit, and then I'm narrowing the side of the face, so that the head's a little bit narrower than the body, and also the ears stick out at the sides from the head, and just tidy it up around the ear, and you see there the effect that it has. So repeat the same on the other side, and then I've actually gone in with the saw again and just sawn. This is this will be the bottom of the bear, or underside of its feet, and I've sawn around and then come in with the push cut. But you can do it by with the knife, which is basically what I'm doing on this cut here, which is the underside of the paws. And do that on both sides at the front. Just in case you think I'm a very fast carver, I've actually got this on 2 times speed, because the video would have been an hour long, and I'm just trying to reduce the length of the video. But if you do go on, if you want to watch it at normal speed, you can go on to and reduce the speed on the video, and you can watch it on normal speed if you want. But it will it'll make my voice sound a little slower. So, but it's not too bad at 2 times speed. You can still get a good idea of what I'm doing, and be able to follow it. So there, I'd gone round just around the front for the paws, and then I'm rounding off the body at the front, from the where the paws are round to the neck, and then on the back I'm rounding the whole thing off. So I'm rounding it down at the bottom, around the back of its feet, and then again I'll be rounding it to just tidy that up, and then I'll be rounding it up to the neck, and just rounding it over so that it looks like he's got a bit of a rounded back. And if you can roll your knife around, that's quite a nice way to do it. And here I'm coming round the sides and rounding from the back to the sides, so that there's no corners, basically, and just coming around the corner and rounding everything off. You see already it's starting to look like a bear. This is quite a nice simple one. It does take about an hour, but it's surprising how quick that hour goes when you start carving. And there, I'm just coming around the front now, from the side to the front, again just rounding everything up and going into that neck a little bit more to give it more of a neck, and let the head stick out a bit more. So while I'm rounding off, I'm going to round off the back of the head. So round off the sides, and then again round it from the back up to the top. Same on the other side. Be careful with those ears, don't chop them off. Round to the other side, and then from the back of the head down to the neck again, just making everything nice and round. And just rolling that knife round into the neck there, and then tidy it up there. We've got the basic shape already at that. It just really needs it's the kind of finishing off now. So again, where the eyes go, the face, rounding it off, get rid of all the original saw marks on the basswood, and just cut it up to the ears. Now I'm rounding off the top of the sort of snout, muzzle. I'll draw on the nose there so I don't lose it, and a little V cut in there at each side at an angle there. And then across the top with another little V cut, being very careful not to cut the nose off, and then just tidy it up a little bit at the sides there, and you've got the nose. And then take that face back away from the nose a little bit so that it leaves the nose sort of standing out a little bit. Right, I'm rounding off from the front of the face there, muzzle, round to the sides, because we don't want any corners. There's no corners on a bear as far as I know. Taking off any sharp edges. We're not worried about leaving a few facets, but we don't want any corners, sharp edges on there. Just tidying up around the nose, being very careful. I'm just going back to my original just to get an idea of what to draw. So I'm just drawing a sort of a little smiley face there. So it's in with the point of the chisel underneath the nose, in again with the point at the other angle, and pop that triangle out. And then just cut under those jowls very carefully. It's only a small cut, and it just but it does show up. You've got that little shadow line underneath there, and then just tidy it up to that cut line. And then there, I'm just drawing on the little mouth, and I'll do a little cut under there again, very shallow, and I'm just using the point of the knife and just rounding it over, do a little scoop cut, just to round it over and down under the chin. And then tidy up the neck. I decided to go in a little bit deeper with that, just to get a little bit more shadow in that mouth area, and just pop that triangle out again. And just keep everything nice and tidy and neat as you're going along, because then it saves going over everything afterwards if you just tidy things up as you go along. Okay, I'm going to draw on the eyes now, keeping these very simple. It's nice to have a centre line, just so that it helps to keep the eyes balanced. It's easy to get one slightly larger than the other or wider than the other, so it's good to have a centre line to work to. This is a little flex cut. I think it's about a 2 mil or something like that. U-tool, yeah, U-tool, and gouge, and it's quite handy for things like this. You can use a V-tool, and you can of course do it with your knife, but it's not easy doing it with the knife. And if you've got something like this, then it's good to use it. And so that's basically all it is. Keep it really, really simple, because we will be painting him in later, painting the eyes in. Yeah, I'm taking off that sharp edge on the front of the head, just rounding it over a little bit. I'm going to put a little triangle cut in the ear, so dig the knife in very, very carefully, because if this ear comes off, you're ruined it a bit. So being very careful not to go in too far, and so again creating that little triangle that we can pop out. And then I'm just rounding over the ears, taking off any of those sharp edges, and rounding it over to the back a little bit, making the ear a little bit thinner and less square. So it's thicker down at the base, and then as it goes up to the top of the ear, it gets a little bit thinner. And then tidy up around it. And then by magic do the other side. And there I'm just working out where to put the arms and the paws. You see there on the side, it's quite a simple design, which is kind of what I was going for. I wanted to make it as easy as possible. I've done the Linker bears, and they are the heads are exactly the same, but the body does take a little bit of doing, and I wanted to try and make something that was just a little bit easier, especially if you've got the gouges. It makes it really easy. So you can go in with the gouge now and create those arms quite easily. I'm taking the wood back between the arms, and that'll be the bear's chest. And something that wouldn't be very easy to do with the knife, but it's really easy with the gouge. And that one's I think it's about a 6 mil gouge. And then around the back of the arms, and into the neck. Here I'm just rounding everything off with the knife. Remembering to go with the grain, not try and fight against the grain. Then using a small gouge just to get into define the arm a little bit more, get in a little bit deeper, and then back with the knife just to take that wood back, and then round off again to the back and up to the neck. Quite effective and really easy, and that's one of the arms done. So by magic, do the other arm, and that's the center line again, and put a little cut down and then do a V cut in between the feet, and then pop it out with the knife, and then start rounding off those feet, and then round it over the top. And there, get the little gouge in, because it's quite deep there and difficult to get in with the knife, so use the gouge to get in there. And the feet just come back to the body, just there, and round it off with the knife again. And it's just a case of going around and tidying up the cuts. Make sure there's no little bits getting in the way. Obviously in the background there, that's a glass of non-alcoholic juice of some kind. And now I'm going around with the gouge, the 6mm one, to start it off with, and then I might go in afterwards with a smaller one, just to vary the thickness of the grooves. So sort of start in the middle of the back and go up. Well, in effect, it's downhill towards the neck, and then because of the grain of the wood, and then to do the bottom, I have to turn it round and go downhill again to the base. If you tried to come up from the bottom, you'd just be digging into the grain all the time. So always try and work downhill. I'm pointing at the face for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. I think it's because I'm going to leave it without any fur on there. So I'm doing the head. Same again, starting in the middle and going up and around the top of the head, and then down and around to the neck. And I'm coming across to the face, but if I remember rightly, I don't go right into the face. I'll leave it a little bit bare. See what I did there? So now, just having a look round it all, seeing if there's anything that needs doing, and just a little bit of finessing really. And if there's any untidy cuts, I'll just sort them out now. And I think that's about it. Yeah, funny little chappy. So before painting, I've got some boiled linseed oil there, and I just dunk him in there and let it soak in. I do let it actually soak for a couple of minutes. and then wipe the excess oil off with a kitchen towel. And the reason for doing this is that it helps with the painting. When I come to paint it, certainly the end grain on the bear will suck up the paint like crazy, and it generally, if you're trying to keep an even colour over the bear, the end grain will suck it up and it'll go really dark, and the rest of it will be much lighter. I'm holding that paper up there just to remind you to throw it away carefully. Don't just leave it on the side or put it in a bin, because it can potentially spontaneously combust linseed oil on a rag or paper, so you've got to be a little bit careful with that. Here I'm using some acrylic paint, some brown. I'm going over the whole thing with the brown. There we go. Leave him dry for it while I make a cup of coffee, and then I get some white, and I'm going to do a bit of dry brushing here. So I get quite a large brush and dab it into the paint, and then dab the brush on a towel to get the most of the wetness of the paint away, whilst leaving a bit of paint on the brush, and then flicking over the surface so that the paint just touches the high spots, and just it really does bring out the cuts in and the detail in the wood, in the carving. But it looks a little bit heavy at the moment, so I've got a brown, and I'm just softening the white a little bit, so you can still see the highlights, but it's just softened a little bit. And I get the white paint with a fine brush, and I'll paint in the eyes very carefully. I'm slightly out of camera shot, but you get the idea. Let it dry again, and then get some black paint and trying to get them as round as possible. 2 round dots in the center of the eye. Clean the brush, let the paint dry, and then I'm using an old pen refill just to get a little bit of paint on the tip, and then put a little dot. It's a little bit big, that, but a little dot, just to kind of create a little reflection. And then back with that little cutting block, and get my dovetail saw, and I can saw the bear off. Really handy to be able to hold it like that. And here are the bears, the 2 linker bears at the back. As you can see, they're taller and a little bit more complicated, and they're the little modifications that I've done. And yeah, they're the ones I did to sort of practice, so that I'd be able to do it reasonably well on the video. But yeah, it makes a cute little group, and in a minute I'm going to notice what I've missed. And there it is. I've missed painting the nose. So just carefully paint that in. That's the only thing that I paint on these, or the only detail I put on them. because I keep it as simple as possible. So paint it, let it dry of course, and then just put a little dot on the corner so it looks like he's got a nice shiny wet nose. And there we have it. The two Linka bears, a Doug Linka, and the others my little take on the Linka bears with the fur, and a little bit smaller and simplified slightly. Yeah, great little project, and some pictures up at the end. Hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe. If you would like to leave a comment, please do. I enjoy reading them all. And this is Andy's Cornish Creations, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.